Take a deep breath. Have you ever noticed that aging doesn't happen all at once? It happens in little moments. A longer pause when you stand, a forgotten name on the tip of your tongue, a quiet sigh at the end of the day. You're still you, just a little slower, a little more tired, and maybe wondering, is this just how it's going to be now? But here's the truth most people miss. Growing older doesn't mean growing weaker. It doesn't mean letting go of joy, energy, or clarity. In fact, what if aging could be a return to strength, to presence, to feeling good in your own skin again? This video is not about chasing youth. It's about reclaiming your vitality with 5 small habits that are grounded in science and practiced by some of the healthiest older adults in the world. They don't require a gym or a perfect diet or even extra time, just a little intention and a willingness to begin again. So if something inside you is whispering, I want to feel better, stay with me, because the first habit we're about to explore might be the one that reconnects you with joy, step by step. Let me ask you something simple. When was the last time you walked just for yourself? Not to the kitchen, not to the mailbox, not to run errands. I mean a walk where it was just you, the world around you, in a moment to breathe. If it's been a while, that's okay, because today can be the day you start again. Here's the truth no one tells you enough. Movement is power, especially as we age. When you move your body, you're reminding it and yourself that you're still in control, that your legs still work, that your lungs still fill, that your life still stretches out ahead of you. You don't need fancy shoes or a fitness tracker. You don't need a gym. You just need your feet and a little sunlight. Start small, step outside, feel the ground beneath you. Look up. Let the air hit your face. It doesn't have to be far. Even 10 minutes around your block can jumpstart your entire system. You see, when you walk, your heart gets stronger. Your circulation improves. Your blood sugar levels even out. But beyond all that, your mind clears. The fog lifts. You begin to feel lighter, not just in your body, but in your spirit. This is more than exercise. It's self-respect in motion. And here's something powerful. Walking has been shown to reduce the risk of heart disease, stroke, and even cognitive decline. In one long-term study, older adults who walked regularly had better memory, better sleep, and better moods. It's not magic, it's biology, and it's yours for the taking. Let me paint you a picture. Imagine you're walking in a quiet park, trees on either side, the path ahead smooth and inviting. Your steps are steady. Your breath is easy. You're not rushing anywhere. You're just being. And in that moment, you realize, I can still feel good in this body. I can still enjoy this life. If that sounds far off right now, start where you are. Take 5 steps, then 10. Let those steps become a rhythm. Let that rhythm become a habit. Let that habit bring you home to yourself. And if walking alone feels hard, invite someone. Share the air. Share the silence. Share the laughs. There's a reason so many friendships are built on long walks and real conversations. Because every step you take is a declaration. I'm not giving up. I'm still moving forward. I still matter. Every step is a step toward the life you deserve. So if you've been waiting for a sign to start, this is it. Put on your shoes, open your door, and meet yourself out there on the sidewalk. And once you've got that momentum going, we're not stopping there. Because movement is only half the story. Now it's time to talk about the fuel, the food you give your body. And that's where things really start to change. My Uncle Joe used to say, at 70, food stops being fun and starts being fuel. But I'd like to gently challenge that, because food should never stop being joyful. What should change is how we use it, not just to stay alive, but to feel fully alive. Not long ago, I sat down with a woman named Clara. She's 82, sharp as a tack, skin glowing, and walks every morning. I asked her secret. She smiled and said, I stopped eating like I was feeding a stranger. I started eating like I was feeding someone I loved. And that changed everything for me. Too often, especially as we age, meals become routine. Toast, tea, maybe something microwaved. And when we feel tired, bloated, or foggy, we blame age. But more often than not, it's our fuel that's failing us. You don't need a complicated diet to eat well. You need real food, things your body recognizes and welcomes. Colorful vegetables, leafy greens, simple grains, lentils, berries, a bit of salmon, a handful of almonds. You're not prepping for a fitness competition. You're giving your cells a reason to smile. And let's talk digestion, gently. If your stomach has been sending slow down signals, fiber is your new best friend. It keeps things moving so your bathroom doesn't become a place of existential crisis. Think oatmeal, apples, lentils, leafy things. Regularity is underrated until it's gone. Now, let's hydrate with intention. I know water isn't as exciting as soda, but soda isn't as kind to your kidneys. Water cushions your joints, helps your skin stay soft, and literally keeps your brain floating. Add lemon, berries, or cucumber if you want a little flair. Herbal teas are lovely too. Here's the bottom line. Eating well isn't about rules. It's about respect. Respect for the body that's carried you this far, for the heart that keeps beating, for the mind that still wonders, and for the moments you still want to enjoy. So try this. With your next meal, pause. Look at your plate. Ask, is this meal giving something to my body or taking something from it? That one question can shift everything. Start small. Add one real thing to each plate. Trade a packaged snack for a boiled egg or a banana. You're not giving up taste. You're reclaiming strength. And when you eat with care, your body responds with clarity, steadiness, and renewed energy. Because food isn't just calories. It's chemistry. It's memory. It's a message. Every bite says something. Let it say, I'm worth taking care of. And now that we're fueling your body with intention, let's turn to another part of you that needs nourishment, your mind. Because clarity doesn't come in a bottle. It comes from within. And I'll show you how. There's a quiet fear many of us carry as we age. What if my mind starts slipping? What if I walk into a room and forget why I'm there? What if the names, the stories, the people I love slowly begin to fade? But here's what you need to know. Losing your sharpness is not inevitable. Your brain, just like your body, can grow stronger when you challenge it. Let me tell you about Elena. She was 70 when her grandson gave her a watercolor set for Christmas. She hadn't drawn since high school, and at first she laughed it off. I don't even know how to hold a brush anymore, she joked, but curiosity got the better of her, and she started watching beginner painting tutorials online. What began as casual curiosity turned into a ritual. Each morning after her tea, she'd paint, just for 15 minutes. Nothing fancy, just colors, shapes, movement. After a few weeks, she started noticing something. Her focus improved. She remembered appointments more easily. Her mood lifted. She said, "It's like my brain wakes up when I paint." And there's a reason for that. Your brain has a beautiful ability called neuroplasticity. It means that even in your 60s, 70s, 80s, and beyond, your brain can form new pathways, make new connections, and adapt. But like a muscle, it needs to be used gently, consistently, and with love. Mental stimulation doesn't mean solving complex math problems or memorizing poetry unless you enjoy that. It can be simple. Learning a new recipe, reading a mystery novel, doing a crossword puzzle, even playing a memory game on your phone. The science is strong. Researchers have found that older adults who engage in new, challenging activities have slower cognitive decline, better emotional regulation, and even stronger immune responses. It's not about being perfect, it's about being curious. So ask yourself, when was the last time you learned something new just for fun? Not because you had to, but because something inside you whispered, that sounds interesting. Because the secret isn't having all the answers. It's keeping the questions alive. A sharp mind isn't about how much you know. It's about how willing you are to keep discovering. Elena now paints every Sunday with her granddaughter. They laugh, mix colors, and call it their brain spa. And the best part, she says, it reminds me I'm still growing. So here's your invitation. Stretch your mind. Try something new this week, not to impress anyone, just to remind yourself you're still vibrant, you're still learning, you're still alive. And just as your mind thrives on challenge, your body thrives on strength. Let's talk about how to build it without a gym and without fear. Frank used to be a runner. Back in his 30s and 40s, he ran marathons. His knees aren't what they used to be, and he hasn't laced up for a real jog in over a decade. But at 76, he recently told me something that stopped me in my tracks. I don't miss running, he said. What I miss is the feeling of moving through life without needing help. That right there is what strength truly means as we age. It's not about muscles popping out of your sleeves. It's not about heavy weights or six-pack abs. It's about this: getting up from the couch without using your hands, climbing stairs without holding your breath, carrying your groceries instead of waiting for someone else, opening the jar, standing tall, living without fear of falling. Strength means freedom, and freedom is everything. But too often we assume that losing strength is just part of getting older, that it's natural to become frail, to need help, to feel weaker. The truth? That's not aging, that's inactivity. Science shows we lose 3 to 5% of our muscle mass every decade after age 30 if we don't actively work to maintain it. But here's the powerful part. We can reverse that loss, not with intense workouts, but with small, consistent effort. Right at home. Start simple. Wall push-ups, stand at arm's length from a wall. Press in, then push out. Easy on the joints. Big benefits for upper body strength. Chair squats. Sit and stand from a chair without using your hands. This one movement works your legs, hips, and balance. Everything you need to stay steady on your feet. Step-ups. Use a low stair or step. Up with one foot, then the other. Down and repeat. It's the motion of daily life. Curbs, buses, front porches. Even resistance bands, the stretchy kind you can keep in a drawer, can help rebuild strength. Do curls, rows, shoulder lifts. No impact, but steady progress. Don't worry about counting reps. Start with 5 or 10. Listen to your body. If you can smile while doing it, you're doing it right. This isn't about performance, it's about persistence. Because what strength really gives you is choice. The choice to stay in your home longer. The choice to enjoy outings without fatigue. The choice to play with your grandkids instead of watching from the sidelines. And, perhaps most importantly, the choice to care for yourself without relying on others. Frank never returned to running, but he did start doing wall push-ups, light band work, and short stair walks. A year later, he told me, I don't run anymore, but I live like someone who could. That's strength. Quiet, steady, life-giving. So today, move your body, not to change how it looks, but to remind yourself, you're still here. You're still capable. You're still in motion. And there's one habit that multiplies the benefit of all the others. It's not about what you lift, but who you lean on. Let's talk about connection next. There's a kind of loneliness that sneaks up on you. It's not the dramatic, tearful kind you see in movies. It's quieter. It happens when the phone doesn't ring quite as often. When you realize it's been days since someone called you by name. When the days begin and end with silence, and no one notices either. For many older adults, that's not just a feeling, it's their new normal. But here's what most people don't realize. Loneliness doesn't just affect the heart. It rewires the brain, weakens the immune system, and shortens your life. Social isolation in older age is linked to increased risk of depression, cognitive decline, heart disease, and even mortality. In fact, research shows that strong social ties can increase your lifespan by up to 50%. That's more powerful than quitting smoking, more powerful than exercise alone. Think about that. Now, let me tell you about Sam. Sam is 68, a widower, retired from his job as a postal worker. For a while, his world got very small. Coffee alone, meals alone, days alone. Until one Sunday, his neighbor invited him to a morning walking group, not for exercise, but just for company. Sam went, half-heartedly, but that walk turned into a ritual. Then came coffee after, then conversation, and something began to shift. Sam started laughing more, sleeping better, remembering details. Even his back pain eased. He didn't just feel better, he came back to life. That's the magic of connection, not flashy, not loud, but life-affirming. Because connection isn't about how many people you know, it's about being seen, heard, missed when you're not there. It's knowing someone's glad you showed up. So where do you begin? Maybe it's saying yes to that community yoga class. Maybe it's calling your cousin you haven't spoken to in months. Maybe it's joining the local library's book circle, even if you haven't read a novel in years. Even simple connections, chatting with your pharmacist, waving to a neighbor, exchanging recipes, can be the spark that lifts your entire week. And if in-person isn't possible, that's okay too. Zoom calls, online forums, virtual volunteer programs. We live in a time where distance doesn't have to mean disconnection. Because here's the truth. You don't outgrow your need for people. No matter your age, your soul still longs for belonging. So if you felt isolated lately, don't see it as weakness. See it as a sign that you're ready to reconnect, that your heart is craving what it's always needed: company, conversation, care. And connection isn't just a nice bonus. It's the glue that holds your health habits together, because it's easier to walk when someone's walking with you, easier to eat well when someone's asking what you made, easier to stay strong, sharp, and centered when someone reminds you you're not alone in this. Because when you combine connection with movement, food, strength, and clarity, something amazing begins to happen. Your life begins to expand again. So how do you start? What's the first real step? There's something quietly powerful about the way small actions shape a life. Not the grand gestures, not the once-a-year resolutions, but the steady choices. The glass of water before breakfast, the decision to step outside for 5 minutes of fresh air, the moment you pick up the phone just to hear a familiar voice. These may seem like tiny moments, too light to measure, too ordinary to matter, but over time, they weave together into something profound, a life lived with intention, and a body cared for like it deserves to be. When you start looking at daily habits not as obligations, but as gifts to yourself, everything changes. Movement becomes less about exercise and more about honoring the miracle that is your ability to rise, to stretch, to walk, to feel the ground beneath your feet. Even if it's just to the mailbox and back, those steps whisper to your bones, you're still in this. You still belong here. And when you walk, you don't just strengthen your legs. You loosen the grip of worry. You soften the tightness in your chest. You breathe a little deeper. After movement comes nourishment, not a strict diet or another rule to follow, but a return to real, beautiful food that your body recognizes. A handful of berries, a warm bowl of oats, a plate with color and texture and life. You're not eating to look a certain way. You're eating to live fully with energy and focus and clarity. You're feeding your cells, your brain, and your mood. From there, you gently invite your mind to participate. Maybe you read one page from a book you've meant to finish, or you challenge yourself with a new word puzzle, or you take 5 quiet minutes to journal your thoughts. The point is not mastery, but movement. Because the mind, like the muscles, thrives when it's asked to engage. And let us not forget the strength you still hold. You don't need dumbbells or machines. You need gravity, breath, and willingness. Slowly sitting and standing from a chair, pressing your palms into a wall, lifting light objects with intention. These are not workouts. They're reminders that your body is capable of renewal. You don't need to match your younger self. You only need to support the self you are now and the self you're still becoming. And in the middle of all this care, perhaps the most important habit of all, connection. A simple hello, a shared meal, a neighbor's smile, a few minutes spent reminiscing over coffee or learning something new with someone who sees you. Social connection wraps everything else in meaning. It gives you a reason to show up tomorrow and the next day and the day after that. These rituals don't require perfection. They only ask for presence. One small act each day, done not because you have to, but because you can. Because you're worth that much and more. When done with love and consistency, these little actions form a loop of vitality. Movement for the body, nourishment for the cells, stimulation for the brain, strength for independence, and connection for the soul. Small actions done daily build a future you can be proud of. Not just a longer life, but a richer one. Let's close with a final thought that might just stay with you. There's something beautiful about arriving at a point in life where you no longer chase who you were, but instead embrace who you've become. Maybe the knees creak a little more. Maybe names slip your mind now and then. But in return, you've gained something far greater, perspective, and the quiet power to choose what really matters. This journey we've walked together wasn't about chasing youth or pretending that time stands still. It was about recognizing that every stage of life offers its own kind of strength, and that the choices you make today still carry weight, still shape tomorrow, still reflect how much you care for yourself. You see, healthy aging isn't a race towards something far off. It's a homecoming, a return to simple things done with love. A slow, steady rhythm where each habit, each walk, each nourishing meal, each stretch, each connection isn't just for your body. It's for your sense of aliveness. You didn't need anything revolutionary. You didn't need a perfect plan. What you needed was to remember that you still deserve to feel good. Not someday, now. Not just when the stars align or when the family visits or the tests come back clean, but today, in this moment, in the quiet ways you care for yourself when no one's watching. And that's the shift that makes the biggest difference. Not the number on the scale, not how many vitamins you take, but how you see yourself. Are you worth the effort? Are you worth the time, the care, the attention? The answer has always been yes. Even when you doubted it, even when life got busy or lonely or painful, you are still here. And because you are here, you still have the chance to write this next chapter with intention, not to fight time, but to walk with it. Not to mourn what's changed, but to make peace with what is, and to protect what remains with deep, honest love. You are not too late. You are right on time. So as you move forward from this video, remember this isn't a conclusion. It's a beginning. A quiet one, maybe. But beginnings don't always need applause. Sometimes they just need a deep breath and a decision. If something inside you stirred today, if even one word reminded you of your worth, I hope you won't keep it to yourself. I hope you'll share it with someone who needs to hear it, with someone who's forgotten how good it feels to be alive in their own skin. And if you're ready to make these next years your most intentional, most joyful, most grounded yet, then join me. Type the word gold in the comments. Not because you're chasing gold, but because you already are. A life lived fully is the most valuable thing there is. You're not getting older, you're just getting better. And better isn't behind you, it's just begun.